Hi everyone, this is Cody Smith. Welcome to my channel, Cody Smith Peer Support with Christ. Today I'm working on chapter 10 of my book, The Purpose of Disability, which is about my college years. And honestly, one big thing is my faith in Christianity went from blind to my eyes being open because it started with a friend who interviewed me because he wanted to learn about my life with a disability since he was a journalism major, and he and I became pretty much instantly became best friends. And then he invited me to a Bible study after school, and I went every Tuesday, and we, as a group, read the Bible together and discussed it. And then one day, these representatives of another group came to us and talked to us because they're the ones who looked for the evidence, because what they do is called apologetics, which comes from a Greek word apologia, meaning to give a defense. And so they look for external evidence, like what does archaeology say, what does history say, and things like that. And I, the following year, my sophomore year, they found me walking down one of the main sidewalks on campus, and they invited me to come to their group, and I did, and I instantly fell in love with it, and I felt like, again, my eyes were opened, and my faith went from blind faith to true faith, so I consider myself reformed, and I instantly fell in love with apologetics and looking for the evidence, and pretty soon I was, reading books on it. I was studying it on my own time, and I was having a lot of fun and enjoying it. And eventually that leads me to my conclusion that the existence of disabilities is evidence for the existence of God, because again, you have to have, as I've said before, you have to have a standard to know what healthy human ability is, and to even know what human abilities are, what abilities that we have that define us as humans and distinguish us from everything else on the face of the earth. And studying these things is a direct command in the Bible. 1 Peter 3 verse 15, always be prepared to give an answer for the hope that is in you. And that is my answer, is that the fact that we have such things as disabilities, and we can find them and study them and know what they are and know what they do, tells me there has to be a standard. Therefore, there has to be a standard setter that is outside of humanity, outside of the universe, and has made the decision to make us in a certain image with certain abilities, with a certain level of health. And at some point, something happened to us to break that down. And now, such things as sickness, disease, disability, and things like that exist, and we can find them and document them, know what they are, know what they do, study them, and many things like that. And this also goes along with my major in college, which was part of the College of Business Administration, Healthcare Administration, because I wanted to do something that would help people with disabilities be able to live the lives that they want rather than the lives they've been given. Because, as human beings, we all deserve to be autonomous and to make our own choices, because we all have free will. and we deserve to be able to decide, okay, yes, because of my disability, this is my life right now, but over here is the life that I want. So, being able to find and go about the path that we choose to get from what we have now to what we want, and being able to be free creatures who choose, I want this life, I want to be independent, I want to be happy, and I want to, do this for a living or that for a living and those sorts of things. And, how do I go about doing that? And how do I go about, you know, even if I know what the traditional steps are to get from here to there, you know, just doing it straight through the traditional way may not exactly work for me. So, how do I modify? How do I adjust this template in a way that works for me and allows me to do things, you know, my way, in a way that's, most comfortable for me, easiest for me, where I can be more independent and autonomous? Those are the things that we look at, and that is what I'm trying to say, because those of us with disabilities, we're just as human. We just have to change our methods and tactics occasionally because, as we learn and grow, maybe we overcome different milestones in life, and maybe we have to occasionally adjust things, which is no different than anybody else because everybody does everything their own way, disabled or not, because we're all individual humans, we're all free creatures, we all make our own choices, we all do what works best for us, no matter what we're doing or who we are or what our situation is. And that's the same for those of us with disabilities because we're all trying to figure out, okay, who am I, what do I want, and how do I get it, and those sorts of things. And what's in my way, and how do I work around it? How is my disability holding me back, and how do I work around that? Because obviously I can't get rid of my disability, but how is it restraining me, and how do I work around those restraints if I can't take them off, metaphorically speaking? So those are the things that I'm thinking about and talking about because those of us with disabilities are just trying to live as independent a life as we can. I won't say normal because there's really no such thing. Normal is a relative term. What's normal for person A isn't going to be normal for person B because we all have our own individual lives. As I said, we all do things our own way and we all have our own personal situations that we're going through that maybe each person doesn't know, the other person doesn't know about. So that's the whole point. And, we have to, you know, figure out, okay, what works for me? How do I get through this? And each person has their own way, even if they're in the same situation. We all move at our own pace in our own way. And that's why we should take time to slow down, talk to each other, get to know each other, so that we can truly understand each other. And maybe there's something we could each do to help each other and make each other's situation easier and help each other move down the path from where we are to where we want to be faster and easier. Assist each other, help remove the roadblocks, avoid and or get out of the pitfalls and everything like that. And that is what peer support is about as well. So that's the whole thing that I'm trying to get at. And I will talk more about peer support later in this book. Thanks everyone. Have a great day. Feel free to leave questions and comments. If there's anything you want me to do a video on or anything you want to ask about or want more information about. And please like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Bye everyone.